I just tested my closest friend using an ancient psychological trick, and what happened in the next 30 seconds completely destroyed everything I thought I knew about loyalty. The scariest part? This person has been in my inner circle for 3 years. I will show you how your closest friend just exposed themselves, and they have no idea it happened. Last week, I shared some incredible news with my inner circle. Got a major promotion, something I've been working toward for months. Everyone said the right things, smiled at the right moments, gave me the congratulations I expected. But one person's reaction was different. Not obviously different, just delayed. A tiny hesitation before the smile appeared. A fraction of a second where their eyes went somewhere else before snapping back to mine. That microsecond delay just revealed everything I needed to know about where I really stood with this person. And what I discovered next will change how you read every single interaction for the rest of your life. If you're ready to see through the mask people wear to spot the fake friends before they strike, and to finally understand who's really in your corner, smash that subscribe button right now. Because what you're about to learn comes from centuries of psychological warfare, and most people will never have access to these insights. The truth is, people lie with their mouths, but they tell the truth with their reactions. Every handshake, every compliment, every favor, every apology, it's all a performance. And most people never see through it because they think honesty lives in words. But there's a deeper truth hiding in plain sight. Niccolo Machiavelli understood something that most people miss completely. He knew that people reveal their true intentions not when they're speaking freely, but when they're being observed without knowing it. Because no matter how polished someone's image is, no matter how careful they are with their words, they cannot fake instinct. Instinct slips out in silence. It shows up in how they handle your success, how they respond to your power, how they react when you're not looking. And I'm about to show you exactly how to catch it. Machiavelli didn't just observe people, he tested them. He created pressure points that revealed hidden motives, secret envy, buried resentment, and fake loyalty. And you can do the same thing, quietly and surgically. All you need is the right setup and the discipline to watch without interfering. But here's where it gets interesting. These aren't just tests, they're revelations. And once you see what I'm about to show you, you'll never look at your relationships the same way again. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had that gut feeling about someone, but you couldn't quite put your finger on what was wrong? That nagging sense that something didn't add up, but their words seemed sincere enough? Well, your instincts were probably right, and I'm about to prove it. Drop a comment below and tell me about the last time someone's reaction to your good news felt off, because I guarantee you, that feeling you had was your subconscious picking up on something your conscious mind missed. Today, I'm breaking down 7 psychological tests that will expose anyone's true intentions. These are the exact methods Machiavelli used to navigate courts full of liars, manipulators, and opportunists. And by the end of this video, you'll have a complete toolkit for reading people at a level that will shock you. But I need to warn you about something first. Once you learn these techniques, you can't unsee what they reveal. The masks will come off, the performances will become obvious, and you'll realize just how many people in your life have been playing roles instead of being real. Are you ready for that level of clarity? Because there's no going back once you see through the illusion. Test number 1, the celebration test. Here's how it works. You share good news with someone close to you. A promotion, a new opportunity, a personal victory, something significant that should genuinely make them happy for you. Then you watch their face like a hawk. Their first reaction, that split second before they compose themselves, tells you everything you need to know about how they really feel about your success. Real friends light up instantly. Their joy is reflexive, automatic, genuine. But fake allies? They download their reaction from memory. There's a delay while their brain catches up to their mask. Here's what you're looking for. Do they celebrate immediately? Or does their voice follow their smile like their mind is processing what they should say? Do their eyes light up? Or do they check the room first to see who else is watching? I tested this with 5 people in my inner circle last month. 3 of them passed with flying colors, immediate excitement, genuine enthusiasm, asking follow-up questions because they were truly invested in my success. But 2 of them failed spectacularly. One person's smile appeared a full 2 seconds after I finished speaking. 2 seconds doesn't sound like much, but in human reaction time, it's an eternity. Their brain was calculating the appropriate response instead of feeling genuine joy. The other person said all the right words, but their tone was flat, like they were reading from a script instead of speaking from the heart. And then they immediately changed the subject to something about themselves. Want to know what happened next? Both of these people, within the following weeks, made subtle comments designed to diminish my achievement. Little digs disguised as jokes, backhanded compliments that felt like tiny knives. But here's the thing, I wasn't surprised. The celebration test had already shown me their true colors. Comment below and tell me, have you ever noticed someone's delayed reaction to your good news? Because once you start paying attention to this, you'll see it everywhere. Don't confront them about it. Don't explain what you're doing, just mark it in your mind. Because that delay tells you everything you need to know. They're not afraid of your failure, they're afraid of your rise. Test number 2. The denied favor test. This one is devastatingly simple and incredibly revealing. You ask someone for a small favor, something you know they can easily provide. Maybe it's a ride somewhere, feedback on a project, a small loan, or an introduction to someone they know. But here's the twist. After you ask, you immediately retract the request. You say something like, actually don't worry about it, or I figured it out, or forget I asked. Then you watch their reaction like your life depends on it. If their smile relaxes, if their tone lifts slightly, if they say, oh, okay, cool, just a bit too enthusiastically, that's not relief, that's revelation. They never intended to help you in the first place. They were already planning to dodge, delay, or make an excuse. But now that they're off the hook, their mask slips, their comfort exposes their calculation. I used this test on someone I considered a close friend just last month. Asked them to review a presentation I was working on, something that would have taken them maybe 15 minutes. Before they could respond, I said, actually, never mind, I'll figure it out myself. The relief that washed over their face was unmistakable. They practically exhaled with gratitude that they didn't have to follow through. And in that moment, I realized something devastating. This person had never been a safety net. They were dead weight, dressed up as support. But it gets worse. 2 weeks later, they asked me for a significant favor, something that would have taken hours of my time. The audacity was breathtaking. Someone who couldn't spare 15 minutes from me expected hours of my energy in return. Here's what's really happening in these moments. When someone feels relief at being let off the hook from helping you, they're revealing that your needs were never a priority. They might talk about friendship, about being there for you, about having your back, but when push comes to shove, they're nowhere to be found. And once you see that shift in their demeanor, there's no going back. That person was never your ally. They were just someone who enjoyed the benefits of your friendship without any intention of reciprocating. The most painful part, they probably don't even realize they're doing it. They've convinced themselves they're good people, good friends, supportive allies. But their instinctive relief when you don't need them anymore tells a different story. Drop a comment and tell me about a time someone seemed way too happy when you said never mind to a favor request. Because I bet you've experienced this and didn't realize what you were seeing. Test number 3, the credit split test. This test is designed for anyone who's connected to your success. Collaborators, teammates, partners, colleagues. People who are supposed to be working with you, not against you. Here's the setup. You give them an opportunity to take credit for something you've accomplished together. You leave the door wide open for them to emphasize their contribution. You might even compliment their part first, then watch what they say next. The good ones will say something like, yeah, we both crushed it, or wouldn't have been possible without you, or honestly, I just followed your lead. They share the spotlight because they understand that success is rarely a solo effort. But the parasites, they reveal themselves immediately. They accept your praise and then try to redirect it entirely to themselves. They might smile and say, yeah, I really pushed hard to get it over the line. Or, it was tough, but I pulled a few strings to make it happen. Or worse, they say nothing at all and just soak in the recognition like a sponge. That silence, that self-centered addition, that subtle rewriting of history, that's them telling you they've already changed the narrative in their head. And in their version of the story, you're a footnote. I ran this test during a project presentation last month. The work was primarily mine, but my colleague had contributed some research. When our boss complimented the final result, I made sure to highlight my colleague's contribution first. Their response? Thanks. Yeah, I had to really dig deep to find those insights. The research phase was pretty intense. Not a single word acknowledging the weeks I spent putting everything together, the strategy I developed, the presentation I crafted. In that moment, they revealed exactly how they saw our collaboration. They weren't my partner. They were positioning themselves as the hero of the story. Here's what makes this so dangerous. People who can't share credit can't handle your rise. They see every success as a competition, every achievement as a threat to their own image. They view teamwork as a ladder, and they're determined to be the one climbing while you hold it steady. These people are not team players. They're image builders, and your spotlight is only useful to them as long as they can redirect it onto themselves. The worst part? They'll smile while they do it. They'll act grateful for the recognition while simultaneously erasing your contribution from the narrative. And if you call them out on it, they'll act confused, like they have no idea what you're talking about. What's your experience with credit thieves? Comment below and tell me about someone who took credit for your work. Because once you start watching for this behavior, you'll be amazed at how common it is. Test number 4, the small disagreement test. This test is subtle but deadly. You casually disagree with someone about something relatively minor. It's not confrontational, not personal, just a difference of opinion. You might say, I actually see it differently, or I don't really agree with that, but interesting point. Now you watch their reaction like a scientist studying a specimen. Do they ask why you disagree? Do they explore your perspective with genuine curiosity? Do they engage in actual dialogue? Or do they immediately try to overpower your viewpoint? Watch for the warning signs. Do they get louder? Do they subtly mock your view? Do they go quiet and withdraw their energy from you? Do they smile but tighten their jaw? Do they dismiss your opinion without consideration? This test reveals something crucial about someone's character, their ability to handle dissent. And here's why that matters. People who can't tolerate small resistance are dangerous around real power. They don't want equals. They want mirrors. They want submission dressed up as support. I used this test during a casual conversation about a current event. Nothing controversial, just a different perspective on something we'd both read about. This person's reaction was immediate and telling. Their voice got slightly louder. They interrupted me mid-sentence to reinforce their point. They used phrases like, "No, but think about it," and "you're missing the bigger picture." They couldn't just disagree. They had to make me wrong. The conversation wasn't about the topic anymore. It was about dominance, about who would submit and who would maintain control. Here's what I realized in that moment. If someone punishes you for disagreeing, even gently, they're not your friend. They're a future opponent. They're someone who sees your independent thinking as a threat to their influence over you. These people reveal themselves through their inability to coexist with different viewpoints. They need everyone around them to validate their perspective, to echo their thoughts, to make them feel intellectually superior. And if you don't play that role, if you dare to have your own opinion, they'll find subtle ways to punish you for it. They'll withdraw warmth, create distance, or make you feel foolish for thinking differently. This test seems small, but it exposes something massive about someone's worldview. Are they secure enough to handle different perspectives? Or do they need constant agreement to feel powerful? Think about the people in your life. How do they handle it when you disagree with them? Drop a comment and tell me about someone who couldn't handle your different opinion, because this reaction pattern reveals everything you need to know about their true character. The people who pass this test are rare and valuable. They engage with your ideas, they ask questions, they might even change their mind if you present compelling points. These are the people you want in your corner. But the ones who fail? They've just shown you that they see relationships as power struggles, not partnerships. Test number 5, the delayed response test. This test is all about priorities, and it will show you exactly where you stand in someone's life. Here's how it works. You send someone a message about something important or time-sensitive, then you observe their response pattern. How long do they take to get back to you? Do they prioritize your communication, or do you get pushed down their list? And here's the crucial part. What changes when they need something from you? The way someone responds when you reach out versus how they respond when they need something from you is often the clearest measure of their true loyalty. I've been tracking this pattern for months now, and the results are eye-opening. There are people in my life who take days to respond to my messages, but when they need something from me, their response time is measured in minutes. One person consistently takes 48 to 72 hours to reply to my texts, but last month when they needed a professional reference, they called me twice and texted 3 times within a 4-hour period. When I didn't respond immediately, they sent a follow-up message asking if I got their urgent request. The contrast was stunning. My needs could wait indefinitely, but their needs required immediate attention. Here's what this reveals. You're not a connection to these people. You're a tool, something they pick up when they need it and put down when they don't. Machiavelli would have called this a quiet warning. He understood that slowness to respond isn't always disrespect. People have different communication styles, different schedules, different priorities. But consistency and slowness, only when it serves them, is disrespect refined. The pattern tells the story. If someone makes you wait but expects you to be available when they call, they're telling you exactly how they see the relationship. They're slightly superior, you're slightly inferior. They're strategic, you're accessible. And once you see this pattern, you can't unsee it. Comment below and tell me about your experiences with response time imbalances. Have you noticed people who are lightning fast when they need something, but glacially slow when you reach out? Here's what you do with this information. You don't call them out. That would be emotional, not strategic. Instead, you adjust your calculations. Don't give them urgency if they don't give you priority. Don't offer immediate responses when they trade in delayed ones. People who make you wait will never help you win. They want you slightly needy so they can stay slightly superior. And now you know exactly how to recognize this dynamic before it damages your self-respect. Test number 6, the public praise test. This test introduces social leverage, and it's absolutely devastating in what it reveals. The setup is simple. You praise someone publicly in front of others. You say something genuinely kind about them, acknowledge their strengths, lift them up when there's an audience watching. Then you observe their reaction like a forensic analyst. Do they reciprocate? Do they redirect some praise back to you? Do they acknowledge your role in their success? Or do they act like the praise belongs to them alone? More importantly, do they use that moment of public attention to shift focus away from you entirely? Public settings change people. The presence of an audience brings out their true relationship to power, attention, and credit. And what you'll discover might shock you. I used this test during a team meeting last month. Publicly acknowledged a colleague's contribution to a successful project, really built them up in front of our peers and supervisors. Gave them a moment to shine. Their response revealed everything I needed to know about their character. They thanked me briefly, then immediately launched into a detailed explanation of their process, their insights, their strategic thinking. They talked for 5 minutes about their approach, their expertise, their vision for the project. Not once did they mention my role. Not once did they acknowledge that the success was collaborative. They took the spotlight I offered them and used it to eclipse me entirely. But here's what made it worse. They grew more animated, more confident, more dominant as they spoke. The public attention fed something in them, and they couldn't help but claim more and more of the narrative. In that moment, I realized something crucial. They didn't see themselves as beside me or with me. They saw themselves above me, and the public praise was just an opportunity to establish that hierarchy in front of others. These people are not team players, they're image builders. And your generosity is just raw material for their personal brand. Here's the pattern to watch for. When someone receives public praise, do they share the credit and acknowledge others? Use the moment to build bridges and strengthen relationships? Show gratitude for the recognition? Or do they claim all the credit and expand on their own brilliance? Use the platform to dominate the conversation? Act like the praise confirms their superiority. The difference is stark once you know what to look for. Have you ever praised someone publicly only to watch them take complete ownership of the moment? Drop a comment and tell me about your experience with spotlight hogs. The people who pass this test are rare and precious. They use public recognition as an opportunity to lift others up, to share success, to build stronger teams. They understand that true power comes from elevating others, not from hoarding attention. But the ones who fail, They've just shown you that they see every interaction as a chance to establish dominance. They can't share the stage because they don't see you as an equal partner. Test number 7, the controlled disadvantage test. This is the most powerful test of all, and it's the one that will reveal someone's true character with surgical precision. Here's how it works. You deliberately give someone a small advantage over you. You let them win an argument, agree to their terms in a negotiation, or allow them to feel like they've gotten the better deal. Then you watch what they do with that power. People with good intentions use that moment to protect the relationship. They feel grateful for your grace, they reassure you, they make sure you're comfortable with the arrangement, they understand that you've given them something and they handle it with care. But people with bad intentions, they lean in, they take more. They get a taste of dominance and they escalate. Instead of protecting the bridge between you, they start lighting matches near it. Because to them, your kindness isn't grace, it's weakness. And weakness is a signal to extract more. I used this test during a negotiation last month. I was in a position of strength, but I deliberately accepted terms that were slightly unfavorable to me. I wanted to see what this person would do when they thought they had the upper hand. The results were disturbing. Within days, they were pushing for additional concessions. They started making demands that weren't part of our original discussion. They began treating me with less respect, speaking more dismissively, acting like they were doing me a favor by working with me at all. The small advantage I'd given them transformed into an assumption of superiority. They couldn't handle being on top without trying to push me further down. This is the test Machiavelli used most often in political courts. He would pretend to lose small battles just to see who would transform into a tyrant the moment they thought he was weak. Because here's the truth. How someone behaves when they're losing tells you about their resilience. But how they behave when you let them win tells you about their character. The good people become more generous when they're winning. They use their advantage to create mutual benefit, to strengthen relationships, to build trust. They understand that power is temporary and relationships are valuable. But the predators, they reveal themselves completely. They can't handle advantage without becoming advantageous. They can't experience power without needing to dominate. What's your experience with people who got worse when they got ahead? Comment below and tell me about someone who showed their true colors when they thought they had the upper hand. This test is so revealing because it shows you who someone really is when they think they're safe to be themselves. When they believe they have power over you, do they use it to build or to destroy? The answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know about their true intentions. What to do when someone fails the tests? By now, you've learned how to expose people's true intentions. But here's the crucial question. What do you do once you know? Once someone fails these tests, once they reveal their envy, their entitlement, their subtle sabotage, what's your next move? The first instinct is usually emotional. You want to confront them, cut them off, warn others about what you've discovered. But that's not power, that's reaction. And reaction gives away your advantage. The moment you show someone that you've seen through their mask, you give them the opportunity to craft a new one. You alert them to your awareness, you trigger their defenses, you lose the element of surprise. So here's rule number 1. Change nothing immediately. Externally, you remain the same. Internally, you've categorized them, marked them, moved them from ally to risk. But outwardly, you stay composed, even kind. Because nothing disarms a manipulator like your continued calm after you've quietly removed them from your inner circle. You don't pull the rug out from under them. You cut the strings while they're still dancing on it. Rule number 2. Shift from investment to extraction. Before you discovered their true nature, you were probably investing in the relationship. Time, trust, resources, information, emotional energy. Now you move into extraction mode. Ask yourself, what can I still gain from this person without cost? What do they know that I need? What connections do they have that I can study? How can I use this relationship to my advantage while protecting myself from their hidden agenda? This isn't cruelty, it's preservation. You don't have to destroy them, but you need to ensure that whatever remains of the relationship serves your interests, not theirs. Rule number 3, redesign their access to your power structure. Not everyone who fails a test needs to be completely removed. Some people are still useful, but now you position them differently. Think strategically about their new role in your life. Do you keep them close to monitor their behavior? Do you feed them limited information to see where it goes? Do you pair them with more trustworthy people to dilute their influence? Machiavelli rarely burned bridges without clear benefit. He understood that positioning is often more powerful than punishment. A backstabber who thinks they're still in your circle is easier to control than one you've openly rejected. The unaware enemy talks freely. They leak their motives because they assume you're still blind to their agenda. This gives you intelligence, insight, and strategic advantage. So you downgrade their rank without announcing it. You limit their access without explaining why. You create distance without drama. Let them wonder why the energy feels different. Let them speculate about why they're not in the loop anymore. Let their own paranoia consume them while you move forward with clarity. Rule number 4. Use the information to bulletproof your judgment. Every failed test gives you data, not for revenge, but for pattern recognition. You now know who needs boundaries, who needs watching, who should never be trusted with sensitive information. This knowledge transforms your worldview from reactive to strategic. No more giving people the benefit of the doubt when their behavior shows you who they are. No more hoping that intentions will change when patterns prove they won't. You don't tell people what you discovered. You simply behave like someone who's seen too much to play naive anymore. And that energy shift changes everything. People can sense when you're no longer easy to manipulate. They can feel when you've moved from hopeful to analytical. They don't know exactly what changed, but they know something has. And that uncertainty works in your favor. If you're getting value from these insights, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. We're diving deep into the psychology of power, influence, and human behavior. And there's so much more to explore. The final rules. Turning exposure into permanent advantage. Let me give you the final framework for using these revelations without becoming paranoid or isolated. Because the goal isn't to trust no one, it's to trust more wisely. Rule number 1, never reveal that you were testing them. People hate being exposed, but they fear being outmaneuvered. When someone realizes you ran psychological tests on them and they failed, they'll do one of two things. Beg for re-entry through emotional manipulation or retaliate to reassert their dominance. Don't give them that script. Let them live in the illusion that they got away with their performance. Because in that illusion, they remain predictable. And predictability is leverage. Rule number 2, close the information leaks. When someone's true intentions are revealed, your next step is containment. You need to assess what they know about you that could be weaponized. What secrets have they heard? What plans have they been privy to? What weaknesses have they observed? What can they discuss behind your back that still has power to hurt you? Then you act. You change your patterns, adjust your disclosures, modify your dependencies. You don't tell them about your next moves. You don't invite them to your planning sessions. You don't give them emotional access to your vulnerabilities. This isn't revenge, it's risk management. Rule number 3, master the art of non-reciprocal engagement. There's a way to disconnect without creating drama, and it's through careful calibration of your responses.
When they reach out, you respond slower than before. When they joke, you smile briefly instead of laughing. When they try to pull you back into emotional rapport, you give them polite distance. You're not rude. You're not cold. But you're no longer familiar. They'll feel the shift, but they won't be able to name it. And if they can't name it, they can't manipulate it. This creates a psychological pressure that eventually causes them to withdraw on their own. Rule number 4. Use what you've learned as a filter for everyone else. Every person you tested and exposed has given you more than just their individual truth. They've given you a behavioral pattern to detect in others. Was it the delayed celebration? The relief at not helping? The credit hoarding? The domination during disagreement? The response time manipulation? The spotlight stealing? The power abuse? Now you know exactly what to watch for from the beginning with new people. You don't wait months to discover someone's character. You introduce calibrated triggers early and observe the results. If they pass, you cautiously open more doors. If they fail, those doors never move again. This is how you scale your power, not by trusting more people, but by trusting the right people faster. Rule number 5. Reserve your full self for those who consistently pass. This is where most people make a critical error. They assume that because some people are fake, everyone must be fake. They get addicted to testing, exposing, and isolating until they're alone in a fortress of suspicion. But that's not Machiavellianism, that's paranoia. Machiavelli had allies, partners, and trusted advisors, but only after they proved themselves through consistent behavior over time. When someone passes your test repeatedly, when they show genuine loyalty, authentic support, and real character, honor that discovery. Not with blind trust, but with measured openness. Because true power isn't about isolation, it's about surrounding yourself with people who multiply your strength rather than drain it. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's the most important insight you're taking from this video? Which test are you most curious to try? The final truth, exposure as protection. Here's what you need to understand about everything we've covered today. You are surrounded by motives, some clean, some dangerous, some invisible until properly tested. Most people walk through life blind to these hidden agendas, getting blindsided by betrayals they never saw coming. But now you have the tools to see clearly. You know how to create the small pressures that reveal true character. You understand how to watch for the signals that most people miss. You can catalog the results quietly, without drama, without confrontation. And once you master this skill, you gain something that few people ever achieve, a social network that strengthens you instead of weakening you, relationships that support your rise instead of sabotaging it, and a mind that no longer gives its loyalty to people who only offer performance. This is how you rise quietly, protect yourself surgically, and become untouchable. Not because you have no enemies, but because you never let them get close enough to strike. The world is full of people wearing masks, playing roles, and hiding their true intentions. But now you know how to see through the performance. You can spot the fake friends, the hidden enemies, and the subtle saboteurs before they have a chance to damage your life. Remember, expose, observe, adjust, repeat. That's the Machiavellian way. If this video opened your eyes to the hidden dynamics in your own relationships, make sure you're subscribed for more content like this. We're exploring the psychology of power, the reality of human nature, and the strategies that separate the successful from the sabotaged. And don't forget to comment below with your own experiences. Have you noticed any of these patterns in your life? Which test are you most eager to try? Your insights help build a community of people who see clearly and act strategically. The masks are coming off. The games are being exposed. And you now have the power to play at a level that most people never even realize exists. Welcome to the world of strategic clarity. Welcome to the Machiavellian advantage.